What's up, everybody? This is not the Ron Line Report. It's not Power Hour. It's the Cali Pro Preview. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Lenda Murray women's bodybuilding, women's vision prize situation. Yeah, I saw Mike already flinching. So, joining me is Big Mike Cox. And Mike, clear us up. That is your real name, right?
That is my biological name, Michael Ernest Cox Jr. My credit sucks, so if you steal my identity, you're not going to get shit. So do what you want, guys.
Yeah, Cox is not that uncommon a name. I've heard of other people in America with that name. So
yes, there's a Fletcher Cox who played pro football, and there is another Michael Cox, other than my father, that is the Attorney General in Michigan.
Okay. I mean, every once in a while I run into someone named Harris. It's rare, but it happens.
Yes.
Before we get into Cali Pro, and I promise, guys, it won't be long. And if you're watching the replay, just look at the timestamp so you can skip right past it. But I wanted Mike to comment on this because this was like the craziest video I ever had on my channel. I'm not even going to put the volume up. I don't want to put the volume up. I'm going to let it be quiet. But this was now I got to get past the ad. But so this was Milos and Giles, and we were just supposed to talk about like New York Pro and a couple other things. And I'm the idiot that brought up the comments that they had in the comments battle they were having in IG over Good Vito and whether or not he should do Pittsburgh. And it just went insane. Milos went off, called him a stupid MFer. He called him an idiot. He called him a liar. So what were you thinking, Mike? Were you cringing or were you loving it?
The drama guy in me loved it. And it's funny because Milos did the same thing with Bob on DJ's podcast. He lost it. But the thing is, Ron, it's just Giles agreeing with Milos. I think Milos got stuck on that one comment, that one phrase, but it's an opinion, right? This whole sport is a sport of opinions. We all view things differently. We see things differently. And Giles is an expert, like you said. Yeah. He's been doing this since we have, right? Since the early 90s, right? So Giles knows what he's talking about. He's got a hell of a resume. He knows physiques. He gave his opinion about Good Vito, right? I was of the opinion that Good Vito should have done the show. I thought he should have done it. I think he should do every show if you can.
Right.
That's just my opinion because this is a business. You're here to make money, and there's going to be life after bodybuilding. But for Milos to go when you start throwing insults at people during a discussion, that means you don't really have a point to stand on. Right. I've had discussions with Chris Goon about politics, and it's been a very civil discussion. No, we never raised our voice. Now that's how debates go, right? You can't get pissy about that because I get Milos's passion, and I love that, and he's a legend. You know what I mean? But you got to calm that shit down, bro. It ain't that deep, man. You know what I mean? Like there's room for all of us at the table, right? And Milos did every show too. He did every show, right? Maybe, and maybe that's where he's coming from, right? To stand on stage, and he did mention going on a European tour, not making money. I get that, right? And I get it, but I don't know.
I said that to Milos. I said, I think you're coming at this from your exact unique perspective that you did 71 shows and you got your ass kicked by pretty much everyone because that was a hell of a decade. But he stood next to Ronnie, Dorian, Sean, Kevin, Nasser, Rule, on and on and on. All the best guys of the era. So I get where he was at, but I don't know why he had to keep harping on. He wanted Giles to admit he was wrong. Giles would not admit he was wrong. I also took a lot of exception at him keep saying you're supposed to be an expert. You can't question whether or not Giles is an expert. Yep. He does. Okay, they hired this guy for about 10 or 12 pay-per-views a year, mostly over in Europe. But you don't hire somebody to comment on hours and hours of bodybuilding live streaming that people are paying for unless they have an expert opinion to offer. Plus,
and you don't have to be a pro bodybuilder to be an expert either, right? You don't have to be. Peter McGuff wasn't a pro bodybuilder, but he knew what the hell he was talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not. Pro bodybuilders have a different perspective than we do. They lived it, right? Yeah. We lived it vicariously through them in the magazines and diving headfirst into our passion, which turned into your job, which turned into me hanging out with you doing this, right? So we know what we're talking about. Like just because we didn't weren't on the stage at the Vet or in the Beacon Theater or, you know, in Madison Square Garden, don't mean we know what we're talking about, right? But Giles, listen, I love talking to Giles, man. We, you know, when we do these things, we bring up the past, but Giles is an expert. But Milos you have to respect someone's opinion, even if it doesn't align with yours, right?
Yeah. So, you know, you're a big football fan, right?
Right.
Would you say that, what is that the professional sport aside from bodybuilding you think you follow the closest?
Yes, most definitely.
So I don't. So this is why I defer to you. When you watch the commentary, the guys up in the booth with the headphones, some of them are greats from NFL in the past.
Right.
Some of them have never played a game of football in their life. Am I right? Or maybe beyond college.
Some probably couldn't even throw a football, Ron.
Does that mean that their opinion is invalid and they're not an expert?
Dude, on ESPN all the time, they've got non-athletes making opinions on athletes. And listen, sometimes it does sting the athlete a little bit, right? But they make a point. They make great points, right? And even everybody's got a voice now on social media. You know what I mean? And some guys that haven't, they're maybe in their like late 20s are commentating about our sport when we've probably forgotten more than they know. But it doesn't mean we go on their show and say, you don't know jack shit. Your opinion doesn't matter. I want to, and I may comment that sometimes.
Yeah.
But there's room for everybody, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't that deep.
Yeah. So I will say, I was, obviously you saw me like cringing and trying to hide on.
That was the best.
I was very uncomfortable.
Yes.
I'm not going to make a habit of this. And Giles, you know, in our group chat, he says he never actually, I think we have over 1,000 comments on that video.
Yeah.
You know, and people, that's great. Guys, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it and leave your comments too. It helps me out. But, you know, he doesn't ever want to go through that again. And I don't want to go through that again. So if I ever have an interview or whatever that's going in that direction, I will just cut I can just click you off right now if I wanted to, or at least I could stop your microphone. I could take you off. And, you know, people were saying, you should have done that, Ron. You should have stopped it. But I felt like I had to let it play out because Giles kept saying, no, I'm okay. You know, I'm a man. I can handle myself. And he did. He stood up to every insult. He didn't back down. You know,
he didn't get angry. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't get upset. I think, too, though, when you're talking to somebody and they're not responding, getting hyper and hyper like you are, that may trigger someone. Because Bob did the same thing. Bob just sat there. Milos, hey, he was calm, right? And again, you did a good job where I was watching you, and I felt a little uncomfortable too because you did this a couple times, but it was good you let it play out, bro. And it's sad because we're in an era, dude, where that sells. That kind of Jerry Springer type. That's what it was. Like that's what we came up on. It still sells, man. And sadly, it's a good and a bad, right? It was a rough look kind of watching going through it, but it's good. I look at the numbers in that video, bro. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. You know?
People say that is the highest rated power hour we've ever done, but the best video I've had in recent times. I've done better during we do live like contests where I can actually show it at the same time because obviously they're watching the damn thing. But the Dorian thing I did a couple weeks ago, the numbers of that are 3 times higher.
Awesome. I was so motivated, dude. I wouldn't train my ass off after watching that.
Dude, that's Dorian. I mean, I get motivated talking to Dorian. I was like, oh, I got to go to the gym after that.
Great, bro.
All right, great. Let's get into happier things instead of talking about this Jerry Springer type crap. So the Cali Pro is coming up Saturday. We're speaking on a Wednesday. And this is the favorite to win, Regan Grimes, the grimy man himself. And is that a beautiful? This was yesterday. He posted this. That's a hell of a shot, huh?
Beautiful physique, isn't it?
Yeah. So New York, he ended up in 4th. They say he did fade. You were watching the stream because I only saw the finals really. So tell me what you saw from like day to night as far as how things changed with him.
You know what's funny? When he came out, you were like, holy crap. Of course, I wasn't because I said Regan was going to prove everybody wrong. I called that. I was drinking Regan's Kool-Aid. But, dude, when he walked out, Ron, it was like, damn. It was like, this is what we've all been waiting for. Like, it finally hit. The condition was there. He looked phenomenal, bro. Like, absolutely phenomenal. The shape, the structure. he had a lot of sheen to him, like a big glaze, right? And then he started to sweat a little bit, and then he started to fade a little bit. And I think that's kind of where Crizzo kind of overtook him. I think if he could have maintained that initial look when he walked out, he probably would have beat Crizzo just because he's more pleasing than Crizzo. And then when you watch when Regan first came out, bro, like the detail in his hamstrings was absolutely insane. It was as good as Nick. He wasn't as hard, but that hamstring detail was great. The legs look great. He just started to fade a little bit. And again, I'm not sure the science behind that or what happened with that, but dude, that kid is just, he's got all the tools, Ron. Like he has all good looking kid, tall, and his popularity is absolutely insane, right? I remember at the Olympia, was it a couple years ago, I was shocked at like how people were going crazy. The girl almost like pushed you out of the way with your bad leg because you walked in front of her picture.
That's right.
Remember?
Yep.
Like, whoa, he's got a bad leg, lady. Just calm down. But I think Regan, we've all waited for this kid to come along and live up to the hype, so to speak. And again, it takes time, and he's coming to his own finally.
Yeah, and I mean, well, I'm going to show you something in a minute because I was like wondering. Oh wait, someone says I'm a scumbag. Well, I got to correct. Yeah, I don't think I'm a scumbag. I love this and having Milos here, the highest ratings ever. I was never pro. Milos was. Well, that is true, Eggplant Reno. I was never pro. Milos was. I'm never having those three on again ever, unless it's milk toast and we're just talking about something that cannot possibly go in that direction, like a contest preview. But you want to call me scumbag? I even put the comment up that I'm not afraid. But yeah, Regan. So I want to get through New York Pro because he did look real good. Apparently, his tan completely sweated off.
Yes,
which that's crazy. I mean, you probably never had a spray tan, but it's in your skin. It takes like a week or more to get rid of that shit to scrub it off.
Oh, dude, yeah, dude. I dream tan it up. I pro tan every show. 2 coats. Yeah.
How dare I make that assumption? But
2 coats.
So that's what happened. That's why that was one reason he looked so much worse for the finals. But they gave him some advice, or actually this I don't know, Leo Merhofer, the classic pro who has Overcome podcast, he gave him a tip which he might try for this show, the Cali Pro, which is once the tan is on, to use hairspray to seal it in so it can't possibly sweat off.
Yeah, man, that just seems like a lot can go wrong, and that's not something you want to do before a show. Like that's something you want to do maybe like in between shows, but you're trying to qualify for the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, right? And there's a lot that can go wrong with that. You over your entire body, so you're gonna spell like Aquanet essentially and protein.
You got to stay away from an open flame. You might go up in a blaze of glory.
Let's hope he doesn't do that. No disrespect, but I don't think that's a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea either. I just wonder. I just wonder if it even would work.
But you're right. It's color. It's just you got to get it's an experimentation because it takes a while for guys to get their color right. Like certain guys always struggle with that color, and that makes a humongous difference on stage. That and when you look at him in the finals next to Nick's color, I mean you couldn't really see any detail in Regan's physique. But it was there. But you have to nail that. And I can think too, man. Everybody's doing spray tans now, right? Back we just, you put it on. You have more. I think you have more control, and you know what's going on. I mean, I guess it helps. I can't say I've never been spray tanned, but I know just you put this pro tan on, you let it sit. You do a couple coats leading up to the show. You let it sit. Wash it off, repeat. That's just the old school way to do it, man. I don't know. Sometimes, simple may be easiest.
Yeah. So Regan, the New York Pro, got 4th place. I want to show you a video that who made this. I want to give them proper credit because I did not edit. I don't even know how to edit. Mark's Max Muscle. He's got a great channel, almost 55,000 subs. He did a video called, "Is Regan Grimes improving or is he getting worse?" So I want you to take a look. This was him in 2023. Can you see it on screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2023 versus New York Pro 2025. It wasn't really a full 2 years, but it's close enough for government work. What I do there. Now I got to watch this fat guy. Oh, there you go.
Look at that, dude.
That's YouTube, man. I got skip. Okay, so we're back.
There you go.
How did I do? No, that's the wrong damn video. It's Pittsburgh Pro. I'm gonna go back. Okay, here we go.
Oh, there we go.
So there's Regan, a year and a half. We'll call it 2 years difference. What improvement do you see? We should probably go shot by shot. So let's start with the double bicep. Very, very similar. I mean, his legs actually look fuller to me in 2023. What do you think?
They do look fuller. He looks a lot bigger in 2023, right? If I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe more fullness, Ron, but I don't know. When you take he took about a year and a half off to machine shows, you expect a dramatic difference. But it's hard to say. I don't think he's not bigger. I don't think he's that much bigger, but the physique's better, if that makes sense, right? Okay. The quality's coming through. These guys are so young that he's a kid. What is he, 31?
31, yep.
Jesus, dude. I got t-shirts like in my drawer right there. Yeah. Right? That old. So it's just it takes time. Now that side chest, I like the older one better because I like that big rib box look, but the quality run is a lot better in that physique.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it looks like a baby and a man.
It's just the areas that I wanted to see improvements on, his biceps and his chest. I don't see any improvement.
They're not noticeably bigger, but again, with genetics, Ron, it's just they may not grow, right? Nasser never grew it back. Those body parts may never get that much better. I mean, Lunsford's arms still are kind of the same as they were when he turned pro. He's just bigger, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I see what you mean. He's like I do see the muscle maturity starting to show through on this guy. His back, I was wondering, his back actually looks the same, but he's got a great back. I would never put his back down. People speculate, and speculating is just basically pulling shit out of our asses. Is he afraid to like push the gear too much higher? Is he not?
You know what?
Who knows?
I was listening to I don't know. I was listening to one podcast, and the one guy was saying that knows him that Regan does really well, right? He does popular. Sure, he makes a lot of money. Does good contracts. Is that hunger still there? Like, right? I'm not questioning him at all. I'm just saying when you're doing well financially, right? It's like when boxers they struggle for years, get that final prize fight, make that big payday. Yeah. Is that hunger still there? Because, like Arnold said, you're at the top of the mountain. Are you still hungry?
Well, you just described the plot of Rocky 3. Remember, because he had been Stallone, Rocky Balboa had been the struggling young broke guy in Philly.
Right.
Finally got the title, and then they show him at the beginning of Rocky 3. He's living in a mansion. He's got a robot butler. He's got a Rolls Royce. And then we see Clubber Lang, Mr. T, in some shithole apartment doing chin-ups in his closet. And, and the hunger, the eye of the tiger, which was the theme song. That's where it came from, youngsters. Rocky had lost the eye of the tiger. He had to lose his title, go out with Apollo to LA to train in some shithole boxing gym to get the eye of the tiger back. But you're right. Regan does very, very well. He's with Celsius, and he's got another big supplement contract.
And he's a dad. He's a new dad.
He's a new dad. So, if he's not prioritizing becoming the biggest mofo in the world, I get that. And I don't hate on him at all for that.
You can't you can't hate on him for that, right? Because you want to do this, get in with your health, get out with your health. But there's also this part of the selfish meathead that says, man, let's go to Kuwait. Let's just do this the right way. Let's get huge. Let's blow this mother effer out and come back and just shock the world. Kind of like what Brandon Curry did, right? But he's got to live with the results. He's got to live with himself, right? So run slow and steady may win the race too. Because remember, Steve Kuklo never blew up either. Right. It took him some time before he got to be that monstrous physique he had towards the end of his career. But like the quality in this picture is the New York Pro is way better. It's not as big. The legs aren't as full in that picture, but the quality is better.
Right. So you mentioned Kuwait. You remember what happened when he went to Kuwait?
Yeah. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. He left because he wasn't comfortable. They had him, he was being nice and politically correct. He didn't say they had me on so much shit.
Yeah.
But he was up to I think he was up 30 pounds within 2 or 3 weeks. They were loading him up with God knows what food and God knows what gear. And he was getting scared. I'm getting too big too fast. He worried about his health. So he said, well, I'm going to go home for Christmas, guys, with my family, but I'll be right back. He never came back. That was just his way to get the hell out of there.
And you know what? And a lot of guys in the sport wouldn't do that. A lot of guys, listen, I wouldn't do that. I would stay there and try to put on 50 pounds. But to have that kind of wherewithal about your health and how this is going and how you're feeling, you can't knock the kid for that, man.
Yeah. So I heard he was allergic to the glaze. I had heard that, but I didn't realize why. The glaze has almonds in it. Okay.
Yeah, he on his video, he says it's got almonds in it, and he had a reaction to that.
Okay, well, that's totally understandable. Allergic reactions are no joke. People die that way.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I think we've set enough. He is my favorite to win. The guys that beat him none of those guys are showing up in where are we going? California. So let's go back to starting to look at some other guys because it's not a one-man show.
No, it is not, Ron. I looked at the list before we talked.
It is by far no guarantee that Regan will win. He is the favorite, but that doesn't mean a damn thing in bodybuilding. So let's go to Sasan. Now he beat Sasan over there. Sasan was a little off. Let's see if we got any recent updates from there. He was not as good as he had been in Detroit, where he was second to Bonak, or FIBO, the show in Cologne, Germany, where he was second to Andrew Jack. But, he still looked pretty damn great. So this is New York Pro. I'll put him up on the video. So here's how he looked in New York. From the front, looked just as good as he had.
Definitely.
I didn't see things I didn't notice any difference until he turned to the side and, we're always drawing to men's asses because we're.
That's so true, man.
But that's where you look. Oh, is he shredded? Let's look at the glutes.
That's the first place.
And they were blurred out. And then, in the back shots, it just wasn't as sharp. You could see. That's where I said, oh, okay, yeah. He was. Someone was saying, well, when he flexed it, no. When someone's glutes are really shredded, even just sitting like that on it in a side pose, you could see the glutes pretty clearly.
When they start walking out on stage and when they're in really good shape, you can see it. This is his third show, right? And it's hard, to travel the world and maintain that condition. But this isn't bad condition, right? No. So I think maybe staying in the States this time, maybe going from New York right to Cali, he may be able to control that water a little bit more and come in a little bit crisper. But it's hard on the body, Ron. But Sasan from the front, like you said, he's diced, and he has that old man muscle look to him that only comes with years and years in the gym. And that looks very impressive next to a younger, say, fresher body like Regan. So if he can get that, maybe like that, FIBO condition again, he can give Regan a real battle. Yeah, and
I would not say it's out of the question for him. We've seen people beat people that just beat them the week before, many, many times.
Yep. And judging is fair. There is no more of this. He won this show, so he's gonna win next week. So it wouldn't shock me if Sasan won, if the place has changed. Because like I said, physiques can change in a week. There's no guarantee what you look like last week is gonna show up this week. So it's awesome now because when we go into shows, we can say who's favorite on paper, but the judging now is so awesome that it's just fair. The best man's gonna win.
Yeah, and people. Another thing you'll hear is, well, they place people who have big social media followings higher. Well, Regan would not have beaten Crizzo. Crizzo does not have the following and the sheer legions of fans that Regan Grimes has. So
exactly.
Nice try, guys.
They believe anything, dude.
So I'm kind of doing this in the order. We can give our top 5 if we want, but it's pointless. A show like this, especially where I think it's like anybody's show, really. This guy from Brazil, Leandro Perez.
Yes.
So let's see. He has done pretty well. He was second to Good Vito at the Arnold Classic South America in Brazil a few weeks ago, a couple months ago, I should say. He was just out of top 5, 6th place in Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh Pro.
Yeah,
he's damn good.
Very good. And I wrote him down on my list on my little post-it note too. That's the one guy.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Just dense, thick. Look at the thighs. Those crustations on all heads of the quads. Incredible.
He's not really missing anything, right? It's just a little bit more Christmas. And I think maybe, but sitting out, not doing, some many shows, he may be able to nail it here. But his structure is insane, like the humongous quads. And for a guy that he looks rather tall, right? Doesn't he look a little tall, like a taller guy?
Well, everyone's tall to us, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. But look at that side chest, bro.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's old school, heavy ass weight training right there, bro.
Yeah, the midsection, we always have to go, well, he's got to watch that midsection, because you're not going to see anybody with that type of thickness they're all going to have a little bit of a thicker midsection. To put that much thick muscle on, that's a lot of heavy weight training right there. A lot of food and a lot of heavy weights.
You're not going to have a Brian Buchanan waist at that size.
No, I mean,
no.
Brian Buchanan was awesome, but he did not have this level of thickness at all. He was really a smaller guy with beautiful shape.
And when you get this level of muscle and condition, that's when it looks very impressive, right? So, again, like going into the show, if this guy brings it like 100% or better than he was, previously, Regan could be on for a real battle, because these two, they have got very opposite physiques, right? Regan's got that pretty shape, that beautiful structure. Leandro's got that really like bulldog type rock hard piece of block. Not piece of block, but granite look. So there are two varying looks, right? So it's a matter of which one can come in condition. So if anyone, Ron, I think if anyone was going to could win the show, it's this dude. I would think this guy could win the show.
Yeah,
honestly.
What a shock would that be? Because he's still not that well known in the USA among the US fans.
No, but it's fair. Like I said, it's fair now. Like you don't have to listen. Like you said, you don't have to have 5 million followers to win a show. Like you can be some guy from Brazil or, from Indonesia. If you got a good physique, and you'll win. And he's got a damn good physique.
Yeah, I want to real go. I know Gilco. I'm pretty sure Gilco had him up from Pittsburgh, but I'm gonna have to go past like a billion physique and figure and wellness. Yeah,
but Pittsburgh was a tough lineup, man. That was a hell of a lineup. You know what I mean? And to play, that's a good placing for this dude. Not having hardly very much publicity. I'm sure. The judges aren't really like checking out his progress pics on his Instagram,
Right. Yeah, that's another thing. People say, well, the judges are looking. I've heard this, there's a million conspiracy theories saying they look at the guys, they look at the athletes on Instagram, and if they don't look as good as they did in their updates, I'm like, they don't give a fuck how these guys look in their updates on Instagram. No, all they're judging is what's in front of them on that day, and they don't care if somebody put a really cooked picture with great lighting and all this crap. They don't care about any of that stuff.
The fans care about the Instagram pictures. That's two people who care about, like, the guys don't look the same. They're the ones that expect, like, this dude looks like this on Instagram. I need him to look like this on stage. So the judges are there. They just judge the physique, what's in front of them. There's no, like, they're not meeting in a hotel room the night before the show, say, hey, let's vote for Terrence over the other dude because we don't really, his following's got a lot more. Okay? Stop.
I mean, if that's the case, then I can tell you the classic physique winner for the Arnold Classic next year already. Who is it? Do you know who I'm going to say?
Chris Bumstead?
Sam Sulek.
I
think he's
not to digress too much, Ron, but like that's going to be a very interesting show.
Oh, hell yeah.
We may have to make the road trip up for that one.
Another great Brazilian. It's great to be Brazilian, isn't it? Bruno Santos.
Yes.
I don't have his placings up front of me, but I know he's done pretty well in a couple of shows. The name is very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And some Brazilian guys, you can roast me in the comments, but yeah, sorry, I don't know more about him. Look at that back. Whew. Thick as hell.
I think, is he working with Milo still?
Not sure. I don't want to say yes or no because I'm not sure.
No, yeah, don't quote me. I'm just listening. I'm just saying. I like Bruce. He's very complete. He's not overwhelming, but he competes on a couple of years ago. He did quite a few shows. He did about 5 or 6 shows. Finally got qualified for the O. He seemed a little burnt out by the time he got there, but he gets very conditioned. I think he was against Brett in one show, I think, too. Maybe Reno,
yeah,
I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was Legion. I think he was
Legion, correct.
I think he was in the top 3.
Yeah, he was top 3 there. So he's a very former competitor. He comes in shape, and he can maintain his peak for a little while. So I fully expect this dude to maybe do what's coming up, Legion's coming up.
Yeah.
Soon too. So maybe that, and then what we got Dubai. So he's got a few shows coming up, and he'll listen. This guy he'll be perennially in the top 5 in those shows. We know that.
Yeah, I mean it's like I said, if like I always said, a bunch of the Pittsburgh people, I knew a bunch of them would do New York because it's a week later. It's like a 40-minute flight from Pittsburgh to New York City. In this case, we have the Cali Pros in Anaheim, and then Reno is Legion Sports a week later. That's like another 30-minute flight.
Right.
And especially if you're coming all the way from Brazil in the first place, it would be silly to be all prepped and shredded and just do the one show and not the other. Unless you win the first one and you say, well, I got my Olympia qualification, I'm good. But even then, I would be like, no, fuck it, I'm going to do the other show too.
Make some money, make some more money. I mean, you're here. And I think that's a good idea. And I'm not sure how strategically they plan this, but that's a damn good idea to get, all the guys from the Cali show over to the Reno show. We could get the numbers up. So that's very good. Very, very strategic planning on their part.
So here's a question from a teenage viewer in Germany called Your Mom's Flip Flop. Do the judges review footage and then judge, or how exactly does it work? To me, 3 seconds say who's better, cuts it short. No, there's no footage review. Mike and I have both been right around the judges and back of them, next to them on many occasions. I've never once seen them go to like a monitor and go, all right, what'd you think, guys? No. They have to, and that's why I think judging is one of the hardest jobs in the industry, because they do have to be very quick and as thorough and fair as possible in the shortest time possible. Because especially now with freaking 10, 11 divisions, you gotta keep that shit moving. Because as it is, we're there all day and night anyway.
When you watch them actually judge like bikini, and like the papers are going and the call outs are going, and they all do, it's like a little factory, like a little assembly line, how it works. And God bless them, because that's a job I would never want to have. Yeah.
So that is Bruno. We'll let him take one last look at him. This was posted last week.
Look at his back though, bro.
Yeah, he's thick as hell.
Beautiful shape to him, man.
I like the Leandro guy's physique better, but this guy's pretty good too. So
he's got a very pleasing look to him, and whatever they're doing in Brazil, man, they're growing him like crazy in Brazil, aren't they?
Yes. Well, I think, Miguel, we speak with Miguel Chain on the group chat a lot. He's like the premier journalist of Brazil. He's like the Giles of Brazil, basically. And until that split happened in 2017, where IFBB became Pro League on one side and Elite on the other side, it was like super hard for Brazilians to get pro cards. They were very stingy with them. So there were tons of great athletes that we didn't know about because they were stuck as amateurs. But once that opened up and there were more opportunities for them to turn pro, it seemed like they were all coming out of the woodwork. They'd been there all along, but we just never had any exposure to them.
But just think about like all the Brazilians in wellness, in bikini, you know what I mean, in figure, in bodybuilding, and it's just like that nation that just cranks out genetic freaks. Yeah. You know what I mean? And even like it's just crazy how this is like international. Look at that. That looks like Rolly Winkler, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The shoulders, biceps.
Santos or Leandro can beat Regan if they bring their best. Yeah, I mean, if Regan has another
whoever's in shape nowadays is going to win shows. Like that's just you got to come in condition.
Brazil has all the top-notch gear. I had a funny story. Dennis Wolf told me years ago. We always thought the European guys had better gear than we did. Yeah. He says in Europe they thought we had better gear than they did. So everyone thinks everyone else has better drugs, and that's why they're succeeding. I think it's genetics. I think I think they have almost as many people. I think they're over 300 million. I want to say like they're right up there with our population, Brazil.
And like if you think about like the sports in Brazil, like this how big soccer is, and and sports like that, it's just like, but the genetics there are just, it's just weird because you see the wellness girls and some of the figure girls from there, and it's just that the shape, the quad, they have a propensity for like a really hard conditioned look.
Yeah. Like
they get very conditioned and very rock hard, whereas like maybe some Asian competitors don't get as hard from the back.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Asians don't have backs. They all have these monster legs, which is kind of true. But
it's true.
Sorry, Asians. But I've never seen an Asian pro in bodybuilding or classic or 212 with skinny legs ever.
Never.
Ever. They always have these monster quads, big bulging calves,
crazy shape, those crazy teardrops.
Last thing I want to say about Brazil is I've had this running joke ever since wellness was introduced to the IPB Pro League is there should be 2 divisions in wellness. What are they? Brazilian and other.
Yeah. That's nuts, man.
All right, let's go from Brazil to Deutschland, Germany. This youngster, Justin Musil, I want to say he's only like 24, 25.
Yeah, he's a kid. He's just a child.
A kid. When was this?
Look at that.
Yeah, that was FIBO. So he's done pretty well. Let's see. What has he done this season? He was 4th at the FIBO show. He was 8th in Pittsburgh. And look at the quad sweep. Look at the bicep. I mean, for a youngster, I believe it's his first pro season.
Look at the quad. The detail in the quads are just insane, isn't it?
And we talk about muscle maturity as something we don't typically see in the younger guys, but this guy has it already.
And you know what, too, man? Like the fact that he's done those shows, that he's put his physique up against some top-notch competition, right? He's not shying away. He was that FIBO in Pittsburgh. Those are hard shows. I mean, so he's jumping right in head first.
He shared the stage already with Derek Lunsford, Nick Walker, Andrew Jack, Martin Fitzwater, William Bonac. This kid's already a lot of young pros would be like, no, I'm just going to do some little show where there's not going to be any big names. No, he did it.
No, and he's doing it in the States and overseas. So I would expect another top 5, placing from this guy at this show coming up. And again, I'm sure he'll probably also do the Legions because, again, hop, skip, and a jump from there.
Yep.
But, you can't, again, none of these going into this show, Ryan, like, it's crazy because there's not, Regan's a favorite, but he's not, these guys aren't slouches. Like, this is a good show for a lot of guys to do because, I think it's kind of up for grabs. It really is. If Regan's not 100%, some of these guys will catch up.
Yeah. Oh, so your mom's flip-flop is in Germany, but you're 17, kid, so you don't know a ton about the gear dealing situation over there. Probably, I'm guessing. At least you shouldn't. I hope you don't. Not. But he says they're extremely strict on gear. Well, I mean, there's places where it's strict and not so strict. It doesn't seem to matter. Anywhere in the world, if you have the money and you have the desire, you can get whatever the hell you want.
Exactly. Strict is just a matter of like if you're like you getting caught. You know what I mean? Right. Like that's being strict.
But so what does this kid need? I mean, he's 20, even if 26, that's still a kid.
Hi, man. It's just we expect sometimes when these guys they're so young and they're this good, we expect them to make a huge leap in a year, right? Where in all actuality, it's going to take 14, 18, 20 months to really come into their own. Look at that back double though, man. It's just, you just got to keep working, just keep growing and growing. Have good, proficient all seasons. But Ron, you never know, man. If someone slips up and he's on, who knows? Who knows? But it's just, we got to give him time.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he took 4th in FIBO, I know it wasn't a huge show, but yeah, I mean, he's a first call out guy or at least a potential. You never know. We know Regan's going to be in the first call out. We know Sasan, Leandro, those 3, they're a lock for first call out as far as I'm concerned. But this youngster, I'm going to call him a kid. People get mad when I say kid, but 26 is a kid. Sorry.
Damn, listen, he's 26 years old, competing with the best in the world. That's damn good, right? And so people you got to like, your expectations have to come down just a little bit right now, but he's living the dream, man. He's a kid competing as a pro, bro. Do your thing. God bless you.
The fact that he's that young and he's already looks like this is doing so. He's a work in progress. He's only going to get better and better every season. So if this is his first pro season, which I believe it is, he made a hell of a debut as a pro this season. He's still in the first rookie season, and I expect this kid to get better and better and better.
Right. I remember myself at 24, and I didn't look like that.
Yeah.
Like that's very. I don't think people realize a 24-year-old looking like that is not normal.
26.
26.
They're going to get mad at 24. So Patrick Moore, who has won this show before, it's been a little while. Patrick hasn't done very well the past couple of years. This last Arnold Classic, he was last out of 12 guys. And I'm not seeing, I don't think I have any, he's not showing anything. Well, It's 3 weeks ago. This is the most recent footage we have of him. I know he's in a tank top, so I don't. It's kind of tough to really gauge anything because he always has huge shoulders, huge arms. When I was there, he turned pro at the same USA in 2017 that Derek Lunsford did.
Yeah,
and
damn.
that's the first thing I saw. I was like, God, look at the freaking shoulders and arms on this guy.
Holy crap!
And when Sean Ray and I interviewed him, we said, "Dude, more legs, bro." And you're right there. I haven't seen the legs come up to where I want them, but he has been top 10 at the Olympia. At that, I think it was 2019. And he's won the Cali Pro. I'm not sure. Has he won some other shows?
I think no, just Cali, right?
Okay. And, unfortunately, the biggest news that we had of him was last year when was it this year? He got in
this year before the Arnold, 3 weeks out.
Yeah, a fight in the gym parking lot with the gym owners. I think it was.
Yeah,
well,
that would be.
I always want to look at that stripy delts. We like to see real delts that aren't full of oil. Damn. He's a big dude. He's got a ton of muscle. He's got a great frame, super wide shoulders, very narrow waist. I wish everyone the best. I don't want to say this guy's washed up or anything. I've seen people that I gave up on without saying so, but in my head, I'm like, nah, it's never going to happen for this guy. It could still happen, guys. There we go. So that was the Olympia. That seconds we just
did he do Feeble as well? He did another show this year, didn't he?
I don't.
Other than the Arnold.
If he did, I don't remember him.
I don't believe. I'm not sure. I don't know. Right? Like it could happen. Listen, anything could happen, right? Lightning could strike. But it's hard, man. Because I remember he tore his Achilles as well. So he's coming back. He had that injury. And sometimes, man, the body just doesn't do what you want it to do, right? The legs probably will never be what we want them to be, but like that upper body is absolutely just bizarre looking. Like the front double and like the chest and the arms and the back, it's just it's very cartoonish. And even when he puts it all together, it's a very good look, but it's going to be enough to beat some of the bigger guys. Like even if he nails it and brings the best pattern that we've seen thus far, it's going to be enough of it, to muscle out Leandro, Regan, Justin, or Bruno, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people like to hear when someone has an actual athletic background. He was an outstanding boxer before he became a bodybuilder.
He got hands.
So I wouldn't mess with him. Look at him before. Look how skinny he was.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Well, there he goes. There's the boxing. Even as a boxer, look at the arms he had.
Look at the abs. That's just a little goodie. That's just some like premium ball waiting to happen right there, bro.
Yeah. So there's when he won.
He has such a beautiful physique, man. Just such, too. I think after that Olympia, he kind of rushed maybe to jump into the Arnold real fast, and then that didn't work out too well. And kind of after that, it was just trying to chase that size. Everybody said, "Oh, just get bigger, just get bigger." Like you can't just force that sometimes. Like, Nasser could, but like a lot of guys just can't force, in 6 months, a lot like 10, 15 pounds.
It's easy for us to say, "Oh, just get bigger," but we don't know what limitations or not that any individual might have, whether it's their genetics, what's going on with their life at the time. People have things happen to people, injuries.
And what you're willing to do, like also what you're willing to do to get big too.
Right. I mean, say it does take a lot more gear to put on 20 pounds if you're already at a very high level. Yeah. Some guys are just, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to take 2 grams of test a week and 40 units of GH a day. I'm not going to do that. So respect.
And eat, like 10,000 calories. And it's a lot. It's not easy for us to say, oh man, if he only had 15 more pounds, you know what I mean? Like people go, oh, Bumstead only had 10 more pounds of muscle, but 10 pounds of tissue is hard to gain.
100%. Well, I think it's bears saying, because not everyone understands, especially newer people or novices to the sport, the bigger you get, the harder it is to get any bigger than that, because you're going to get close to your full potential. You have a natural potential. That's as much muscle as you can put on naturally. And then you have your ultimate potential, which is once you add in plenty of gear on top of that. And you've been doing that and eating like a monster for a few years. That's as big as you're ever going to get. So let's move on to, I believe it's called, pronounced Aaron. It's spelled E-I-R-E-N, which is some
Aaron.
Gaelic or Irish name. Anyway, he's from Canada. This is a big dude. He's over 6 foot. He's like 270 on stage.
Damn.
Condition. He has done, let's see. He was 5th in Detroit this year.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that. Big
He's got a
boy.
monster for he's got a lot of muscle. Like this dude, it's a big dude all the way, big dude, right?
Pumping iron reference right there.
Yeah, I know nobody's gonna get that. I knew you'd get it though. I appreciate that,
I
bro.
just watched it with my son. We watched it the night before he did his first contest.
Oh, that's so awesome, man. That's great. I got goosebumps with that shit, bro.
5 days out. Let's see how he was looking at 5 days out from the show, which would have been yesterday.
Yeah,
posted yesterday. I'm just trying to see. Maybe it's the lighting from the back.
it's hard to see with the light.
In this lighting, I'm not like thrilled with the condition, but I've been fooled before by the lighting in some of these posing rooms.
Right. It's hard to say, you know, but you would think though, if he did Detroit, he really didn't have time to kind of get too out of shape. Well, you hope too out of shape, you know, between now and then.
Right.
So that probably could have been a plus for him. But it's hard to see in these lights. It's just hard to see. But you know, he carries an awful lot of muscle. It's just bringing that muscle into crazy condition when you're up against guys like Sauce, Leandro, Regan. You know what I mean? So size wise and frame wise, he's as big or bigger.
Yeah.
But is that shape, structure, and condition going to be what it needs to be to match those guys?
Yes. This was a guest posing, just in case anyone's wondering why. If he doesn't look 100% shredded, he's in great condition still, but this was a guest posing he did. He must have something from Detroit. Oh, well, there's a good shot right there.
That's a damn good shot, man.
I hate to see all these white Canadians look alike, but he reminds me a little bit of Ian Valliere.
Yeah, look at the tricep and the belt. Look at that shit. Yeah. That's a nice physique, bro.
Anytime I show somebody with great delts, in the comments are like, Synthol, that's Synthol. Like, nobody can build delts. Come on, guys. Some people are just gifted like that.
Yeah, dumbbells work too, not just Synthol. Dumbbells and presses help.
This lighting is better. I don't know if it's a different posing room. Well, it's an overhead light. It's a little more of a sculpted lighting as opposed to the blasting. That other lighting is like a flash bulb going off or something.
The hotel light. The structure's there, Ron. Like the structure is 100% there. You know what I mean? It's with all these guys now. It's just you got to nail. And those, like I said, those last few days, those last 24 hours, man, that determines every single thing. Mm-hmm. But I think if he plays 5th in Detroit, he's got to have a good amount of confidence going into this show, right? You were up there with William Bodak, right? And so you were compared with an Arnold Classic champion. So that's got to do something for your confidence level.
2-time Arnold Classic champion.
Yeah, 2-time, bro.
I got to give, because I feel like Bonak is one guy who just never gets full props for whatever reason.
Most underrated guy we got, bro. His resume is just ridiculous. When you pull up his resume, you're like, holy crap! From a 212 guy.
Yeah. All right. So last guy I'm going to talk about, because I'm not going to talk about every single guy. There's a few guys I wasn't that familiar with. This is Chris DiDomenico. He was overall national champion back in 2017 or something. Let me tell you. He has it in his bio. 2017 NPC Nationals overall champion. So, okay.
Oh, very nice, man.
That was New York Pro. That was his pro debut in 2019 right there. So let's see. Does he look bigger now? Let's hope he's a little bit better. That's Klein. He's a coach as well. All right. So these are his 5-day out shots from yesterday. Killer shape.
Quads look good.
Quads look good. I'd like to see a little more quads. I'm like a quad fiend. I always want to see more quads. Unless you're Big Rami, then you're done.
You
don't need any more. There's a few other guys. I shouldn't just say Rami. Yeah. I mean, again, the lighting. I'm not thrilled with the lighting here because I'd want to see more crispness and separation here in the serratus.
Maybe not as big as he was previously. But it's a little downsized a little bit, but the solid physique, man. Solid back, good quads.
Yeah, if he's flexing his glutes here, I'd be worried if that's the condition they're in. Chris, all due respect for you and all the other competitors, but I call it like I see it. That if that's what they look like on stage, you're going to have a tough time. But let's hope it's just a lighting issue or a water issue.
A lot of magic could happen. Last couple of days and do some good little magic in the sippy cup. See what happens.
That's Cali Pro. I don't know about a live stream. I haven't looked into it. Sometimes, if you go to the Muscle Contest YouTube channel, they stream these things for free on their YouTube channel. More often than not, actually, the Arnold Classic South America was free.
No kidding.
Yeah, which, I love free. Free's my favorite.
Free's the best, isn't it?
So that is the Cali Pro.
Something like
Let's preface this by saying, we love Lenda. Mike and I are huge Lenda fans. Nothing but love and respect for Lenda Murray. We take pictures with her every time we're at a show.
Every year.
But this is the post that got everything started. So
you guys know what I'm thinking. Ladies, you know what I'm thinking. Okay. So this message is in regards to the announcement that Arnold Schwarzenegger just made about 26, that he will increase the prize money for the open men bodybuilders at the Arnold to $750,000 for first place. Well, I love numbers too, and I want to share this information. At your show in 25, there were 18 women, 3 divisions, and 18 women received together, they split $108,000. You gave to your third place open men bodybuilder, I believe it was Andrew Jack. He won about 100 grand. So one man made $100,000 all by himself, and your 18 women shared $108,000. Need I say more?
Okay. So let's go to what Andrew Jack said. Because Andrew had to respond to that.
He had receipts.
Yeah, he did. It wasn't $100,000. Literally, he showed which who would do that, but he did. Where is it? Oh, did he delete it? Maybe his accountant said you probably shouldn't put that up there.
Yeah, I think.
But oh no, there it is.
Is that there still?
There it is. Transaction details. So he made $70,000. It looks like 21 grand was taken away in taxes. He got 49,000, and then he said, "Keep my name out of your mouth," just like Will Smith said to Chris Rock. So,
yeah.
But Lenda was called out. Let's see if I can find one of the many outlets that did so. It was Beyond the Stage. She puts on a pro show in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Where is it? All right, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All we need. Oh, there's the keep my name out of your mouth thing.
I just see Milos's face in that one pose like this.
So someone showed the prize money breakdown. Was it on? That was who was the best bodybuilder? Was it Beyond the Stage? Was that the one I just showed? She was paying the open men's winner for her show twice what she's paying the female bodybuilder. So she's criticizing the Arnold Classic for paying the men so much more, but in her own show, she's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And why is that? Well, I don't need to show the numbers anymore. It's basically the same analogies you can use for the rationale you can use for the NBA versus WNBA. Yeah. WNBA women have been complaining for the past few years. We're not paid anything close to what the men make. Like, you might actually know this. Who's the highest paid player in the NBA?
Oh, God. Well, let's put it this way. LeBron makes $50 million a year.
Okay. Highest paid WNBA player probably makes $1 million a year or something.
No, not even close to that, Ron.
Okay, so not even $1 million.
60. I would say maybe $60,000.
Wow. So why is that? You tell me.
It's numbers. It's based on pure numbers. The numbers the NBA draws versus the number the WNBA draws. Listen, I watch both, but I'm not watching the Connecticut versus Atlanta. I watch certain people in the WNBA play. Yeah. But when the NBA is on, I'm watching the NBA. Sponsors go to the, and I think to that point real quick, the NBA subsidizes the WNBA financially.
Right. They lose money. They lose money.
And they've always lost money.
Yep. So that's it, right? It's simple. It's not that anybody is misogynist or hates women
No.
or doesn't respect them or value their hard work. It's not about who works the hardest. This is just money. You know, I wish I could see, because Pittsburgh split up all the men's divisions on one day and the women's division on the other day. I don't know if it was like a combo ticket where you got to go to both anyway on one ticket, or if you had to buy separate tickets. I don't know. If someone tells me in the comments, because I have no idea. But I would venture to say they sold out the men's day and they probably didn't sell out the women's day. And the pay-per-view buys, I bet it was like a quarter, if that, on the women's day as it was for the men's day. That's where the money is. That's where the interest is. Okay, we got Jackie Young is the highest paid player in the WNBA with an annual salary of $252. Okay. Indiana Fever guard Kelsey Mitchell is second at $249, but compared to $50 million.
That you can't compare that, dude. You can't. Listen, I love women's bodybuilding. I do. From the days of Claire Fuhrer, Gladys Portuguese. Lenda is the greatest of all time. I take a picture with her every year. But if you separated the Mr. Olympia Classic and men's physique from the women's physique, women's bodybuilding, bikini, and figure, right? Say the men went on Friday, women Saturday, and you could buy one ticket to eat. You could travel to Vegas for both. The numbers would be very astonishing. It's just the women's bodybuilding, the women's physique stuff. It's not for everybody, right? It's still a niche sport. No matter, that's why they put the fit body stuff now. Is because even bikini has gotten to a point to where it's too much for just a lot of, except the fans. And listen, I go to Tampa every year, Ron. I go to watch the women's divisions because I love the sport. Yeah. But the reality is that venue auditorium for the women's prejudging, it's not a lot of people, right? You can hear the fitness girls' physiques on stage, and I feel terrible. But I like going to support them because I love that. I'm a fan of it, right? Absolutely. Mandy goes because she goes with me, right? But I go to support them because I know how hard it is. I know the kind of discrimination, the stigma that comes with being that, because it's an outlier sport. Our sport, the men, we're freaks to the outside world, right? But these women, it's a whole different. Even bikini. If a bikini girl walked into a Walmart with a tank top on and tights, people will be like, "Oh my God, what is that?" It's all too much for outside of our bubble, and there's only a certain amount of money in our bubble that we can disperse. And I say we, have been around since 1965. Okay, we got a history there, bro. Right? So, yes, these guys deserve the money they make. For me, honestly, I would give fitness girls more money for what they put their body through. I see what Jackie Baker posts leading up to a show. She competes twice a year. Her feet are tore up. Ooh. Her knees are back. They don't get a dime for fitness for what they do, right? But it's just simple mathematics. And the elephant in the room is the chemicals, right? It's a physical sport, right? It is. Some of the commentators make comments about the wellness girls and the bikini girls, but it's a physical sport, and some of the divisions have gone beyond to where they're blurred. I love figure. I love that hard, crazy look, but some figure girls look like women's physique. Some women's physique look like bodybuilders now, right? And so it's just, and Arnold had the Miss International for decades, right? He had that for so long, bro. So Arnold was a champion for that, but you can't blame the girls. The judges let that go. Like, you could put a stop to that. You could have said, "Hey, whoa. It's not going beyond this." Remember they put that picture of who was Ashley that's how they want the fit body. Think about where her body's gone with the cap, and she's a smaller girl. Some bikini girls we see, and when you see the bikini girls up close, you're like, damn, she got a vein. You can see her glutes are tied in, man. Right? So it's just where we're at, and it sucks for the women. And I swear to God, if I win the Powerball, I am going to put a women's bodybuilding show and give every girl like $100,000 each, maybe more. But I can't do that.
I've heard that the Wings of Strength loses money every year. That's the show Jake put on when there was no Ms. Olympia, Jake Wood, and then he bought the Olympia and brought the Ms. Olympia back. So let me give the readers some history. The readers, there are no readers anymore. Viewers. The Ms. Olympia used to be held on a completely different date, like a month apart from the
Hold that thought. Keep talking.
Yeah. So let me tell people while he's peeing, Miss Olympia used to be held by itself like a month later, a few weeks later, in a different city, and it would sell out, or it financially sustained itself. And this went on for years until it got to a point where the fans sort of turned on it, didn't care for it anymore, to the point where in 2014, that was the last Ms. Olympia that they had for a few years. 2015, 2016, 17, 18, and 19. 5 years in a row, there was no Ms. Olympia. There was no Ms. Olympia contest held for 5 years because it couldn't make any money. Jake Wood, who was a huge fan and supporter of women's bodybuilding, Jake came in late 2019 and bought the Olympia. He's the one that brought it back, made it part of the Olympia weekend instead of a standalone contest. And that's when they started having their shows again. But financially, the Ms. Olympia cannot sustain itself. Mm-hmm. You can't tell people what they're going to like. You know, people love golf. People love to watch fishing. I could give a flying fuck about stuff like that. I don't care how much it's marketed. Women's bodybuilding physique, they'll say it's not marketed if they market it more. And you can't make people like what they're doing. You can't make people interested in something they're not interested in. It doesn't matter how much you try to push it on them. I don't care about any of those other sports. I'm never going to care about those other sports. I don't care if I watch a million ads for golf a day. I'd be like, I don't want to see guys hit the stupid little white ball around a giant field of grass. What the fuck? I don't care. So, we respect the hell out of these women. Every division. The women bodybuilders work as hard, maybe harder than the men, because they have things to deal with, like estrogen and periods, and they have more challenges than we do in several ways. But you can't force people to watch what they don't want to watch, and you can't pay people the same. We shouldn't. If you're a business owner, you base it. Getting back to the NBA thing, why are these NBA players paid so much money? Well, because people love to watch them play. They can charge sponsors, advertisers, tons and tons of money during these games, the commercial breaks while you're watching the games, the shirts, the sneakers, the merch, everything. It makes billions of dollars. The WNBA players, no. You walk through a mall, you'll see people wearing 1 million jerseys from your local pro team. You'll see them wearing sneakers from this or that guy. You're not going to see them wearing WNBA jerseys, and most of the women don't have Air Jordan type of sneaker deals.
No. You may see a few individual WNBA girls that are very popular now, but you're just not seeing that. And also, too, we got to realize there's a lot of pros now, Ron. There's a lot of women pros. Pro cards are painted out, like we know, a lot at those junior national shows, 20 pro cards. So the pot, there's a lot of fish in the ocean. Everybody's not going to get fed, right? Everybody, and these girls, they travel to these shows and they do all this out of their own pocket. They're not getting sponsorships. Right. They're not getting those big deals. You know what I mean? They're not getting muscle tech deals. So they're doing all this. But there was 3 girls at the New York Pro, 3 women bodybuilders.
Correct.
That's it. And you can't, and that's not supporting your sport, right? And I get it's expensive. I get it. But what's Steve gonna say? Hey, listen, the numbers aren't, it's a numbers game. And I learned that back on MD when Bob had that rant about ROI back in the day. It's about numbers.
Yeah.
And how long is Jake gonna lose money? Right? How long can you lose money? Like I know, I thank God for him because he brought women's bodybuilding back, but the people don't know the Olympia tickets are all together, right? So it doesn't matter. You buy one ticket. Same with the Arnold. So you can't split it up. Even with Tampa. Now Tampa, you can do a la carte stuff, so to speak.
Yeah.
But the big show it's all together because you can't split that up. We know, everybody knows that. And I think sometimes people are afraid to have uncomfortable conversations. Yeah. And I never would want to see that division go away. But it's just, we just gotta, it is what it is at this point right now in the sport. You know what I mean? And Arnold can do what Arnold wants to do, and I would love I would love for him to have 212 women's bodybuilding, but this is where we're at in our sport today. And it's not going back. It takes a lot to change shit in the sport, Ron. Yeah. It's not like there's union. There's no, IFBB union, like there is an NFLPA, NBA PA.
Right.
So it's up to.
I don't think there ever will be.
No, never. It'll never happen. So it's just
It would happen by now.
like, listen, sometimes you just got to take an ass kicking. You know what I mean? Just it is what it is sometimes.
So I worry. Not worry, but I just see it happening. I don't think women's bodybuilding is going to be around much longer because he said the participation is so low. Just to give a little example, that's probably a glimpse of the future. My son did the NPC Natural Massachusetts contest a couple weeks ago. 75 competitors, I think, overall. Fit Model had like 20 girls. Bikini had like 20 girls. There was a lot more women in the show than men. Figure had a few. How many women's physique competitors were there, Mike, you think?
Maybe one.
0. How many women's bodybuilders?
Oh, 0.
0. So
damn.
If you're not getting the participation, if you don't have amateurs coming up to feed the pro ranks, you're not going to have a pro sport much longer, because what are you going to do? Just have the same 5 women competing like all year long at different shows?
And Ron, listen. And we all know, like, a lot of women bodybuilders now, there's always been alternative ways for them to make money, right? So a lot of them, they don't have to compete because they've got other ways now to make money. There's no more, you don't have to go to a hotel room to make money anymore. You can do it with a camera now. So, why diet down and suffer and do this to do a pro show where I'm making 3,000, I'm losing money. You know what I mean? So, but like you said, there has to be a feeder system to the pros. Like, there has to be, and I haven't seen the USA or Nationals in a while, but I'm assuming there's not a lot of women bodybuilders.
I always look at the results, and the numbers are a fraction. Bikini was dominating in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
I guarantee you this will be the first Nationals with Fit Model. This year's will be.
Oh, wow. Is it?
So you can imagine what the number. Fit Model started this spring, right? So yeah, I can imagine the USA and the Nationals are going to be packed with Fit Model.
Oh my God. And
it's easier. It's so much more accessible. You can be in the gym for a couple months and like, okay, I'll do Fit Model, where you're not going to look like Iris Kyle. You're not going to look like who's the champ now? I know. Stop me for being an idiot.
Andrea Shaw.
Andrea Shaw. Sorry, I know who. I was just looking at the last MD cover she was on yesterday. But Andrea Shaw, you can't look like that in a couple months. It takes years. It takes a lot of food, a lot of other things, and a lot of women don't want to look like that because they personally feel I'm not comfortable looking like that. That's not how I want to appear, or they know they walk down the street or everywhere they look, people are going to be looking at them like, huh, that's a dude, or look at all those steroids. They know that it's not acceptable, and they just don't want to have to deal with that every day because they chose to turn their physique into this. And
what sucks, dude, is just, hindsight's 2020. If you're looking back now, it's just, you're going to get older. Like we get older, and those women that are, pushing the envelope now are going to be 40 one day. You're going to be 45 one day, right? And I really remember my ex, man, she was taking Prope and would do Stenix and Hello tests, and you can see the side effects already with the shaving and the hair growing back. It's just, you can see it, but when the voice doesn't go away, so you have to kind of just, it's easy for me to look back and say, okay, don't do this, but you got to think long term. You try to think long term. We didn't, but it's just that those characteristics are going to be with you forever. They're not going away. You know what I mean? And that's a harsh reality for some.
We've been around so long. You see sometimes the expos, women, it's usually no one that was famous, but we see these women that are like in their 40s and 50s that they were competitors, but they're still trying to be big. Their hairline is up here. They have stubble. They have the big GH nose. I mean, they've destroyed it, and they're walking around in tank tops with the veins and everything. But most people are like, oh, God. They find that hideous. They don't find it appealing.
Especially now, Ron. It's a different era now than when we were coming to the Expos, right?
Yeah.
Like, these kids now are just like, oh my God.
There's Mrs. Jamaican Tank, Patty Clayhart. What's up, Patty?
Hey, Patty.
I do the Muscle Discord live show every Monday night at 9 Eastern, 6 West Coast with Bill does that with the host Matt Sinkarang. So
they're good people. Like, Phil and Patty are awesome people. They live right down the street too, like about half an hour away. Yeah,
and there's another the voice. Once their voice has changed from the gear, I don't think it's possible. I think they would have to shave the voice box down.
Yeah, the voice box down. But there's, like I said, Ron, there's always that niche for it, man. So if you're paying your bills, it's hard to say it's not working, right?
Yeah.
But eventually, I don't know, you're gonna be 60-year-old still doing the webcam stuff.
Well, do I want to go there? I get on my Explore page, when you go search on Instagram and it shows you, if you look at like one OnlyFans ad on there, that you're gonna be seeing your freaking life. And I see a lot of women that are definitely not young, definitely not attractive, definitely not physically appealing, let's say. And I don't know how much money they're making, but they're trying. These are like, I see women that are like 50, 60 years old. I see women that have to be like 300, 400 pounds.
What?
I see women that look like they got hit in the face with a baseball bat. I mean, they're trying. I don't know how much money they're making.
Oh man, where do we go? Okay, I'm just so glad I just stayed home.
Be the last thing, because I don't want to talk about this all day. Maybe they should implement weight restrictions for women's bodybuilding. Well, women's physique started out very feminine. Dana Lynn Bailey was the first winner. Juliana Malacarne followed her. She was still pretty feminine, but as time went on, they got more and more like women bodybuilders. I mean, they're a little smaller, but the line between women's bodybuilding and women's physique it's a very gray area these days.
Well, let me again say this, but like I love the look. I'm a huge fan of women's physique, women's bodybuilding figure. I love that granite hardness, like that Lola Montez condition that she gets in. Yeah. I love it, right? But it's not for everybody. Yeah, I mean, I love the ripped glutes and like just the big traps and shit, but it's not for everybody. It's a niche sport.
Yeah, and so to put a cap on it, the money you bring in as an athlete is just based on how much money you're making, the organization. Yeah. Bottom line, if you're helping the NBA or the MLB make a lot, why do you think they pay these? Do you think they pay these guys like these $500 million extended contracts, $700 million because they want to? Because we love this guy, let's give him $700 million. No. They know they're going to make 5 times that amount back with merchandise, with advertising they can charge. Every time this guy's up to bat, everyone's expecting him to hit a home run. It's all based on how much money you're going to bring in. That's all. It's a business. It's nothing personal. It's not a male versus female thing. It's money. It's green. It's money. That's all it is. So get over it.
Yeah. Good way to wrap it up there, dude.
Yeah. So
good bow tie.
That's it. Big Mike Cox. You stood in well for Giles. I couldn't bring Giles back so soon because he's still recovering. That was a brutal assault he took on here from.
He's got to recover. That was rough. Like he took a couple body blows, but he hung in there pretty tight.
Oh, he stood up. He did, like you say, he's never been bullied in his life. He's not about to start now. So he stood up. He stood his ground. And at one point I didn't want to pull the video. I didn't want to not post it, but they were both like, "No, it's okay. It's okay." Giles was like, "No, let's let it go." So. Yeah.
Good. It's good views, bro. That was good, very entertaining stuff.
Yeah. So guys, if you haven't watched that, it's the last video before this one. So check it out on this channel. Saturday, if there is a live free video, I will be doing a watch party. If we have to pay for it, I can't because you will get a copyright strike from YouTube. You could lose your channel. You'll certainly lose any money. You'll be demonetized. This happened to me at the Olympia last year. That's why I know this. We were up till 3. Was it 3 in the morning?
3 in the morning. 3
in the morning. I saw the viewer count because I could see it. There's 42 of you watching right now. There was like 3,000 people watching, and all of a sudden it said 0. And I said, "Uh-oh, I don't think we're on YouTube anymore, guys." And we weren't. And the video was just pulled immediately.
Oh God!
You can't have because guys like, where can we watch it for free? If it's a pay-per-view, you can't watch it for free. Like that's like asking. What does UFC charge? Like $50, $70 for
like $70.
You can stream on your channel, on a YouTube channel, the UFC title fight while it's happening. You think you could get away with that? You don't think the UFC would be like, They would. No. They have people. They have a team of people there watching, and as soon as they see somebody streaming something, boom! It's reported to YouTube, and your channel is gone like that. So
dude, the UFC doesn't even show. They don't let ESPN show the knockouts. They'll show the fight. They won't show the actual knockout on ESPN.
Right. You can't. Can't you still stream and not show the show? Well, what would it just be like me and Mike or Giles talking? It's like, would we just be like describing it for the hearing it for blind people? No. I'm not. To me, that's just lame. If I can't show what's happening, I'm just not gonna.
Exactly, dude.
It's
That's
lame.
hilarious.
So that's it. We're gonna wrap it up. Big Mike Cox, guys. That's his real name. He's
Real
awesome.
name.
He is a so-called expert, just like me. I think I might have T-shirts made up, kids. So-called expert.
Oh, you have to.
Milos kept calling Giles that, but
ASAP.
it was all good. That's it, guys. So thanks for watching this episode of the Cali Pro preview, where we also touched on the women's bodybuilding and other women's divisions prize money debate that's been going on. Thanks for watching. Check us out next time, whenever that may be, by subscribing on the channel. You'll know when we have new videos coming out. Turn on notifications. So thank you, Mike. Awesome as always to have you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Peace out, everybody. See you later.